to my channel. This is the second episode of the CPA journey. In this video, I want to talk about the plan. In creating the plan, before we even create the plan, there's 6 areas that I feel are really important and needs to be addressed so that your rate of success is increased. The first 2 areas is actually commitment and mental focus. Before you even draw up a plan, you got to commit. You got to ask yourself, am I ready to take this journey, this challenge? Am I going to get it done? So once you can say yes to that, then you can commit. But commitment alone will not get you through it. You also need the mental focus. The mental focus, the mental clarity, along with the commitment, together will get you through the journey. Once you have that commitment and the mental focus set, then you can start working on the plan. I will talk about the actual plan after I go over the other elements that I feel are very important in the overall success of the journey. So once you create the plan, you need to action it. A plan without action, then there's no point in having a plan. You have to action it. Action alone will not get you the results that you need. Action with follow through is what you need in this particular task. There's not 1, 2, or 3 exams. There's 4 exams that are 4 hours apiece. So action alone probably could get you 1 or 2 exams out of the way, but without follow through, the third and the fourth one's going to get you. You're going to be burnt out. That's where you need to have that commitment, that mental focus, the action, and the follow through. Like a fighter, a boxer, when you punch and you actually follow through, that's where you're going to deliver the most damage. And in this case, you want to make sure your follow through pushes through all of the exams, especially the last one. Knock that thing out, slay it, and then get your CPA license. And then the final piece, it's not really a area, but it's the results. The results. So regardless of the results, stay calm, stay cool. Whatever it is, it's okay. Assess it, reevaluate, make the plan. If you have to replan, plan over to compensate if you fail. But if you don't, then continue with the plan. So commitment, mental focus, creating the plan, action, follow through, results. Rinse and repeat until it's done. So we just went over the 6 areas of prepping to create a plan, executing the plan, evaluating the plan, rinse, repeat until you pass all 4 sections. So now let's dive into the actual plan. So how do you create a plan? Well, each plan for each person is going to be different because of our commitment in life, whether it's a job, whether it's family, whatever it be. It's different, but at the same time, the commitment level, the mental focus level needs to be consistent across everyone. What I mean by that is, unless it's your job or unless it's family obligation, everything else is fair game. That time for everything else is fair game. So if you work 9 to 5, you come home, you have family time. Okay, those times are blocked off. Sleep is fair game in this scenario. So let's say you work full time, you have family obligation, you can study 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday. That brings you to 20 hours during the week. On the weekend, I would say 8 hours a day, 16, let's round it down to 15 to make it even. So 35 hours a week. If we're accounting for 35 hours of study time a week, we need to be able to make a plan to accommodate our daily activities as well as our weekly activities. I'm not going to say monthly because the plan that I create is not going to be one section over months. The longer you take, your chances of failing is higher. Not because the material gets harder, because life happens. And when life happens, things change and you start forgetting what you studied yesterday, last week, couple weeks ago, couple months ago. That, again, commitment will fizzle away. That mental focus will be somewhere else. What action? Doesn't even exist. No action, there can't be a follow through. So without any of that, you will have no results, zero results. So that's why I would work with this and say 35 hours a week, 4 weeks. That's 100 and what, 35, 70, 140 hours in 4 weeks. In 4 weeks, you should be able to pass 3 of the sections 4 weeks apiece. So in 3 months, you should be able to pass 3 sections. For FAR, I would say 6 to 8 weeks. So with that calculation in mind, we're budgeting out of 168 hours in a week, we're allocating 35 hours of that to studying. And every 4 weeks, we should be banging out a section. So out of 3 months, 3 sections, and then for the 4th month, plus 2 weeks FAR. And then from there, if we did not pass any of the exams, that's when we come back around and we spend about another, I would say 40 to 50 hours on retakes. That's another reason why you want to condense it, so that you won't have section 1 you missed by like 7 points, and then 10 months later you're like, let me do the retake. That you got to restudy all of that again. It's not efficient. We're talking about, we want efficiency. We want to finish this sooner than later. We want to make sure that we do not waste time. We want to get this out of the way. So that's pretty much how we're gonna allocate our hours as far as studying, day to day, week to week. And then from there, once we figure out how many hours we're budgeting per week to study, then we can identify when we're gonna sit for the exam. I would register for all 4 parts. That's gonna usually, at least for my state, that's 6 months you have to schedule. Once it's noticed, it's given to NTS, and then from there you will have to pay to re-register NTS or whatever. But 6 months is enough time. I would schedule 2 of the exams, even 3, the first 3. So what that does is it's gonna identify my pit stops. So I look at the test date, the cutoff dates, and if the cutoff date is not 4 weeks from now and it's actually 3 weeks from now, I'm actually going to try to increase my study time in a shorter time frame to make that cutoff, because I want to get my exam date on cutoff or day before, so that I can make sure I minimize my wait time as far as when the scores are released, and then from there I can just keep it moving. Usually the cutoffs are pretty consistent as far as the days in between it. So if you hit that one, then you can plan for the next one and so forth. So I would schedule the dates, at least 3 of them. So that makes me accountable. That's where the commitment and that mental focus comes in. Once I schedule that, once I schedule the dates, then I would go ahead and go into my studies. And the next part, I'm going to tell you what actually counts towards those hours as far as studying. All right, so we're budgeting 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, 20 hours, and on the weekend, 7.5 hours for Saturday and Sunday. So what that tells me is now I have to allocate somehow 4 hours a day to stay on track. When I say 4 hours of studying, that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna have to sit there at a desk with a book and a blank sheet of paper and write notes the whole time. No, when I say study 4 hours a day, that includes if you're listening to audio on the way to work. It might be 30 minutes each way. Listen to work and from work. That's an hour. That's an hour out of your 4. During lunch break, if you're looking at your phone, reading an area for 15 minutes, that's 15 minutes of your 4 hours. After work, you get home, put up something to eat, and then study as you're reading. It's another hour. So we're at like 2 hours and some change. Like literally, you can fit it in bits and pieces to get those 4 hours. You don't have to sit straight through. 4 hours is very easily obtained if you were to properly plan. So 4 hours can count from listening to audio, reading books, reading notes, watching a lecture, all of that adds towards the 4 hours budget or target per day. On the weekend, you're probably going to sit there and do multiple choice. That's going to count towards obviously your 7.5 hours or your 4 hours. So as far as studying, if you are doing any sort of reviewing, researching, reading, listening, anything, that will be counted towards your study time. For me, I was studying audio and a lot of multiple choice questions. 85% of my studies was on 2 iPhones. The rest of it was an iPad. Didn't really touch the books at all. Actually, I did not touch the books at all. I used Google to help supplement areas that I was unfamiliar with. I used forums to find motivation. This video will probably help a lot of people that are taking the exam and feeling like they're down. This is more so of a way to approach it, a way to plan. At the same time, this is more inspirational, letting you know that you are not alone and it can be done if you do it properly and get it out of the way sooner than later. You don't ever want to drag this out, because the way this is structured, 4 exams, 4 hours, you don't want to drag it out. Things happen. The longer you let something run, the odds of something going wrong increases. That's exposure. So right now, the longer you let it run, the more exposed to the risk of failure you're gonna be. So just focus on the areas that I talked about. So get your commitment, get your mental focus, create this plan, attack it with action. And then from there, when you attack it with action, make sure you follow through. Make sure you don't leave anything untouched. Make sure you follow through and make sure that it doesn't get up again. Make sure you pass. Remember, 75 is a perfect score. 75 will get you your CPA license. So with that being said, there's going to be other videos I'm going to go more in depth as far as my study habits, how I do the multiple choice questions, and just my strategy. I did the exam. I did 12 days FAR, 12 days audit. That's a 69 and 71. Retake was 5 and 7, and that was an 82 and a 75. Regulation and audit, so that's that. And then FAR was about, I think, 19 or 20 days, and that was like an 82, 81. That was my last section. I was getting tired of that stuff. BEC was my thing. I'm a CMA, so BEC was no big deal, maybe 2 weeks. So, and yes, so that includes a retake, 2 retakes in that time, and I got the result. Remember, result, the last piece, I failed. That's when I looked at the windows and see how I can actually restructure some of, or reschedule some of the exams that were pending. So there's different fees they charge for rescheduling. If it's more than 30 days, then they don't charge a fee as far as prometric. So what I had FAR way out, like in the back end, so that I can move it around as needed, just to be contingent on if I were to fail sections, which I did too. And so that's when I moved farther out, and then I put all that in the regulation closer in, because that material was fresh in my mind. I did about regulation maybe 40 hours tops for a retake, and that was in 5 days. And then all that, I had so many, like when I say so many days, 8 days. I wanted to retake that within 5. I had 8 because of the way the availability and cutoff was. So I actually did another 7 or 8 days. So that was like 70 hours. I just kept going. I started seeing questions over and over again. I think I did about 7,000 audit questions. That's from Wiley's Bank and Ninja's Bank. So just to let you know, it can be done. So remember, commitment, mental focus, plan, action, follow through, results. Those are the areas to focus on when you're actually about to create the plan for your, well, anything in life. It's applicable across the whole 9 yards in life. So thanks for watching.